Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a door family with adjustable swing. Now in this exercise we're going to take what we have learned from the previous two videos, but we're going to use it to solve a much more complicated problem. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to start with selecting an appropriate template. So here under family we're going to click on new, and this should take us to the default template folder. And since this is going to be a door family, so we will select door and make sure not to select the door curtain wall, and then open. So once the template is open, first thing that we want to do is we want to save the file as. So file, save as, family, and as always we want to save each family category under a different folder. So over here under my families folder I have a folder created for doors, and for this one I'm going to call it dr underscore single flush. Save. Now let's take a look at what we have here from the template. Normally each template will contain two reference planes, center left right and center front back, and these two references usually are locked, and the intersection between these two will determine the insertion point for your family. Now we have also left reference plane, right reference plane that determine the width of the opening, and we also have these two reference planes. This one is exterior, this one is interior, which is attached to the surface of the hose, which if the hose get thicker, which it can because this is wall, these two reference planes should move with it. Also we have a couple of geometries that came with this template, which are the casing on both sides of the wall. On the exterior views, we have top reference plane that determine the height of the opening. There are two parts to this family that we are working on. The first part is the geometry itself, which the geometry I'm going to have the frame that's going to go around the opening, and we're going to have the door panel itself. This is the easy part. And the second part to this is another nested family, which will be creating it from scratch and bring it in as a nested family, and this second family will control the swing of the door. Let's take a look at the 3D view. Okay, let me up the scale a little. As you can see from the 3D view, the opening inside the hose is the same size as the casing that's going around it. So I'm going to change that. I want to offset the opening half an inch so that it is bigger than what we have now, and that will accommodate the frame that's going around the opening. So best view for me to do that is exterior view. So on the exterior view, I know that the casing will be in the way later, so I'm going to window select to get rid of it. Okay, so and then I will filter so that I will only select the casing. So frame mullion, that's what we want to get rid of, so I have them selected, and then temporary hide element. Okay, so I want to offset the opening about half inch from where it is right now, so I'm making it half an inch bigger on each side. So I will use reference plane to help me control that. So I'm adding 3 reference planes here, RP on my keyboard. Okay, a reference plane here. I'm placing it roughly for now, and then I will move it into place later. And this equalize is kind of in the way, so I'm moving it out. Okay, I want these two lines to be half an inch apart, and same as these two lines, and then these two lines. Okay, so I'm going to use dimension to move the new sketch plane into place. So I'm dimensioning it from the top reference plane, select the reference plane that I want to move. In this case, is this new one, and 0.5 inch. So it is in the right place. I'm doing the same for the rest of it. So dimension. Okay. I'm going to do them both at the same time. Okay. Now that they are in the right location, I don't ever want the relationship between these two lines to change. Okay, I always want them to be half an inch apart, so I will lock them together. Lock, lock. So by doing this, when the width and the height of the opening changes, the three reference plane that we've just added should move with it, and it should maintain that half inch. Now, that cut opening line that we saw earlier, we're going to make it bigger. So on the exterior view, I'm going to window select, and I will filter out what I don't need and only leave what I need. So I don't need lines. I want to get the opening cut and OK out of it. It might be a little bit difficult to see that it is selected, but you know that you have the opening cut selected when you see Edit Sketch here. So go ahead and click on Edit Sketch, and you should be able to see it easier. These sketch lines are locked to reference plane. So when I click on it, you see the keypad in lock position. If I go and unlock it, it's going to tell me that you cannot unlock it. Okay, but we're going to cheat the system a little bit. So we're going to cancel out. And we will use align, AL. And let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see it easier. So I'm going to align the sketch line to the new reference plane that we've just added, which is half an inch away. Okay, it's going to give us this error, but it also giving us an option to remove the constraint, which that's what we're going to do. Remove the constraint and then lock it to the new reference plane. I'm going to do the same for the rest. Lock it. Okay. Let me just scroll down and see, make sure that the two ends of the line on the bottom meets. Looks like it did. So I'm going to OK to confirm that we're done with the sketch line. Okay, now you can already see that the opening got about half an inch bigger. Let's verify that on 3D view. You can see that offset there now. Offset there on the opposite side, and there should be offset on the top as well. Now we're ready to build the geometry, and the first geometry that we're going to build is going to be the frame that's going to go around the opening. And the best view for me to do that is exterior view. So double click into exterior view. Let me zoom out. Since the frame has profile in it, the tool I'm going to use is Sweep. Create, Sweep. And using Sweep, there are two steps. First is to sketch the path, and then we're going to sketch the profile. So with sketch path selected, we will select the work plane for it. And the work plane that we're going to use is going to be the exterior work plane that we saw on the reference level earlier. So right now it is center front back. I'm going to change it to exterior and OK out of it. Okay, and I want the path to follow the new reference plane, the three new reference plane that we've just added. So I will make sure that I use pick lines, and I want to make sure that lock is selected. So I'm going to zoom in so that you can see a little bit easier. I'm selecting the reference plane, and it should lock automatically. Okay, next I'm going to use trim extend to clean up the line. I know the line on the bottom is going to be a little bit too long, so I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to make sure that the end matches with the reference level. Do the same for the other side. All right, let me direct your attention toward this plane over here. So this is the plane in which you're going to be sketching the profile. So this plane comes with the first sketch line or sketch path that you pick. So for me, I picked this reference plane first. So that's why my sketch plane is here. Okay, so if you select this reference plane first, your sketch plane is going to be over here. So since the sketch plane is here, the best view for me to draw the profile will be from the top view. So I'm gonna click on reference level. That should take me to the top view. So you see this square here, that's your sketch plane. So I'm gonna zoom in, and I want the profile to look something like this. So up here on the ribbon, I will go back to Modify Sweeps Sketch Path. And I will confirm that I'm done with sketching the path. Edit Profile. And that should take us to our sketch mode. So I will use line, start from the intersection, 0.5 inch. And we're going to come down 1.75 inch and over 0.75 inch and down again 1.75 inch. Okay, now this next line, I'm going to eyeball it. Let me zoom in a little bit bigger and I'll explain to you why I'm eyeballing it. I'm going to place it somewhere over here. I'm eyeballing this, the length of this line also, and this line is going to come back and meet the reference plane. Okay, then we can close the loop. Okay, I'm eyeballing it is because I'm going to place constraint for this line with this line over here. Okay, so AL on my keyboard, AL on my keyboard, select the first line, the line that you want to constrain to. Okay, align and lock. So whenever this line moves, I want this line to move with it, which it should never move. Okay, and I want to constrain this little line here, that short line there, with the reference planes that is on the interior side of the wall, which is this guy over here. You can see from the tooltip. Okay, so I select that and then zoom in, and then I can select this line here, and then I will lock to it. So if the wall gets thicker, I want this frame to get thicker with the wall. All right, now I want to also make sure that these lines doesn't change in dimension. So the way for me to do that is I'm going to use dimension. Now I'm going to select the reference plane that came with the sketch profile, which is this short one here. Okay, then dimension to there, dimension to there. Okay, and since I don't ever want it to change, I will lock it. Okay, and this short line over here will be taken care of by the thickness of the wall. All right, I will do the same for the horizontal dimension. So I'm selecting the reference planes that came with the sketch profile. Okay, dimensioning it again. And I'm not going to concern too much about the overlapping dimension, okay, because after I hit confirm, the dimension should go away. I just need to make sure that I lock them all. Okay, so the lock pad there should be another one. Okay, so I'm going to add one more dimension. I guess I didn't click the first dimension. All right, so I will lock this one as well. Oops. Okay, let me just pull this dimension away so that you can see that there are two separate dimensions. Oops. There you go. So I locked them all. So these lines should never change in dimension. Okay, then I can OK out of it. So the first okay, or the first confirm, is that I am confirming that I am done with the profile, and the second confirm is I'm done with the sweep. So we're going to save our project, and let's see what we have in 3D view. So if I zoom in, you will see that the new frame that goes around the door is flushing now with the old opening. Okay. The next thing for us to do is to build the door panel. And since it's going to be a flush panel, we will use the simple extrusion. So with this door panel, we have two choices. We can extrude it from reference level, from the ground up to the top reference plane, or we can extrude in this view. So for me, I think this view is easier, so I'm going to use this. So I will go to create extrusion. Okay. And before I move on any further, I want to set the work plane, and I want the work plane to be the same as previous, which is the exterior reference plane. Okay, so I'm going to set that. It should already be the exterior reference planes because that was the plane that we used last. So I'm going to OK out of it. Okay, and then I'm using a rectangle to sketch the profile of the extrusion. Then I will align and lock it to the reference planes that came with this template. So let me zoom in. AL, I'm selecting top reference plane. I'm selecting, I guess this is, so if this is left, this is right reference plane. Okay. And left reference plane. Okay. So what I forgot to do earlier was I forgot to lock it. So I'm going to lock it. Select the the top reference plane. I'm making sure, I'm slowing this down a little bit because I want to make sure that I'm selecting the sketch line, okay, which I am. So, all right. Now that it is locked on top, left, and right, we need to lock the bottom as well. So I'm locking it to the reference level. Okay. To set the thickness of this geometry, I guess I just confirm it. But this geometry now is a foot thick. Okay. But that is no big deal because here you go. Let me show you. So the size of the door is correct, but the thickness of the door is incorrect because I jumped the gun and I confirmed that I was done with the extrusion. But that's okay, because it can be easily changed here. Better yet, let me go to reference level. Okay, so you can see that there's a really thick door panel right there, but I can change the thickness here from a foot to 1.75 inch, and that should give us, oops, I have inch twice. Okay, and that should change the thickness of the door panel. See what we have. Okay, so I think we may have gone a little bit too far without flexing, so let's go ahead and do that to make sure that everything worked the way it's supposed to. So I will place this dialog box here and change the width. Let's move the width up. Okay, so the width always comes before the height. So width is 5 and height is 2 feet. Okay, looks like it does what it's supposed to do. Let's change this to 4, and this one's to 8. It does what it's supposed to do there. Let's see in elevation. Okay, I think I can bring the casing back, so I will reset the temporary height. Okay, and then, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click on create. Let's make this 3 and make this 4. Okay, so far so good. Okay, and on the reference view, we only will flex the width. So I'm changing this back to 3 feet. Looks good. Now save the project. So now we're ready to test this in the project file. Before I do that, I want to create two family types so that when we insert this into a project file, we can flex them easier and quicker. So I'm going to change this to, actually this is good, 3080. So I'm calling this a 30 space 80. Okay, and then I'm making another one. I'm going to make it 2670 and change the width. Okay, and change the width here to 2 space 6 and then 7 feet. So that's good. Let's see what we have down here. So we have these parameters that were set to control the thickness of the casing. In this case, they call it frame, and then the width of the casing. Okay, all right. Never mind that. We can just okay out of it. Okay, so file, new, project. Doesn't matter which template we use. We're going to place two walls of different thicknesses, okay? About 12 feet. And then I'm going to place another wall. And I'm going to make sure that it's thicker than 8 inches. Select this one. And I'm going to place this next wall right next to the first wall. That looks good. Now we can close our inactive view. Then you will see that now we have two different files open. This is our door family. This is our dummy project. Okay, so back to our family file. We will load this into the project. And the door should be ready for us to insert into the host. Let's take a look and see what we have. Okay, let me up the scale a little bit so we can see a little bit easier. Okay, it looks good there. And it looks good there as well. Before we move on, let's go ahead and go to 3D view and flex it there. Okay. Make sure that you flex often, okay? Just so if something wrong, you can fix it right away. Okay, so I'm going to flex this from 3080 to 2670. It's working. It's working. Let me double check in level 1. Working. Looks good. Okay, next we're going to be working on the visibility of the door panel. In the plan view, we typically don't show the door in closed position. We always show them in open position. So we're going to go back to the family file. And if you take a look at the casing, it is shown in gray right now. That is just an indication that it is being hidden in plan view. So going back to the project file, you don't see the casing, but when you're in 3D view, you can see the casing. So back to the project file, if I select on the panel itself, and actually before I do that, let's see what's going on here. So on the casing, if you go to the visibility graphics, edit, you will see that the visibility is turned off in plan and RCP, and when it is cut in plan and RCP. Okay, so we're going to mimic that. I'm going to cancel out of it, select the door panel, visibility graphics. We're going to turn these two off, and this door panel should turn gray. Okay, which it is. So we're going to load it back into the project. Project 1, override existing version. That door should go away. It should go away. It should go away there as well. Okay, I'm not going to flex, okay, until the next step. So if we zoom in, we can improve the line weight of the door frame. Okay, it's a little bit weak. So to do that, in our project file, we're gonna apply symbolic line over the outline of this frame. Annotate symbolic lines. We're gonna use frame mullion cut. Cut is always thicker than projection. Okay, so we're gonna use frame mullion cut, and we're gonna pick all of the vertical lines first because they're the easiest. I'll explain to you why later. Okay. We're going to use pick, make sure that lock is checked. Okay, so that's why you see that padlock there. So all the vertical lines, we're going to pick them first. And when you pick the horizontal line, see, even though, if I zoom in closer, even though it is highlighting that short little line at the end of that profile, when you select to click, it's going to click the entire horizontal line that is in this family, which is going to go over and across to the other side. So take a look. All right, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to keep on selecting those horizontal lines because later on we can use trim extend to trim it. So since we picked and locked, it should move with the family. It should move with the object that we lock it to, which is the framing. Okay, so I'm going to load this into the project, override existing version. So you can see that the line weight is improved on this side. Okay, now let's flex it to make sure that it moves. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in to this view here. Select family, flex 3080, 2060, looks good there. Okay, back to reference level. Now we're going to do the same to the other side. Okay, so annotate, symbolic line, frame and mullion, pick line, make sure it's locked, and we're going to pick all of the vertical lines first. Okay, and then horizontal line. Now we're going to get this error because you have two lines overlapping each other here, but then again, we're not going to worry because later on we will trim and extend. Whoops, I'm going to undo that. Okay. Earlier, see, I'm selecting this side of the door panel. I need to slow down and tap and select the profile of the framing. Okay. Okay. TR, trim extend. So we're going to clean that. Just to make sure that I don't make that same mistake on this side because I went pretty quick there. I'm going to undo this. Okay. Annotate, symbolic line, pick. Good. I think I did. So I'm going to tab, select, make sure I select the sweep reference. Okay. And then TR to trim it. Now, technically, we pick line and we lock to the geometry. So if the geometry move, the symbolic line should move with it. Okay, so we're gonna load this back into the project and it's not gonna work the way we expected. Okay, you see, sometimes that happen. Okay, it might just be a bug in the system. Okay, but I have figured out the workaround. All right, so it's acting kind of weird here. Let me flex. Okay, it's not acting properly. So I'm going back to reference level, and this time from the exterior reference plane, I'm going to dimension all of the horizontal symbolic lines. So let me tab until I get the symbolic line. Sweep reference, nope. Symbolic lines, okay? I'll do the same thing here. All right, make sure you tap select, okay? And then I'm going to lock it. I'll do the same here. No, actually, I don't have to do that. It didn't cause any problem there. So I'll do the same on the other side. Make sure I get the symbolic line. Yep. I just tap, okay. Symbolic lines, okay. All right. Then I can lock it. Now load it back into the project. This should fix the problem. Okay, good. Now let's see here. Looks good when the wall is thicker. Just for fun, I'm going to place another wall of different thickness. I'm testing this again. Okay. Oops. Let me use this one. All right, and then I'm going to place our family, which is, doesn't matter, putting this one here. Okay, and to swing out or swing toward the top, flex it here. Looks good. Now we're ready to work on the second part of this video, which is the family that will control the swing of the door. So to begin, let me get rid of this one. I don't need it anymore. To begin, we're gonna go to File, New, Family. And the family that we're going to use will be generic model. That is a good starting point for this one. Okay, and generic model comes with center left right, center front back, locked, all the standard stuff. The category that we're in right now is generic models. Okay, I just want to point out to you what comes with generic model. So if you go to annotate, symbolic line, you don't see that much line type. Okay, if you go to family types, you don't see that much parameter. But as soon as, cancel, as soon as you change the category from generic model to doors, and you go back to that same place, you will see more line types and you will see more preset parameter. And this has to do with door, rough width, rough height, thickness, width, so on. Okay, so changing the category from generic model to something else is like you're selecting a template. Okay, now I'm going to start with adding a reference plane here. Okay, then I will dimension that new reference planes to the center left right, and I will change this dimension to a width parameter. Basically, I'm mimicking the width of the door in the other family. I have a bunch of views open right now, so I'm going to close all inactive views. Right? Now let's flex. It's pretty simple. Should not be any problem. Okay. Okay. Next, we're gonna go to create reference line, and I'm gonna draw an angle, a line in an angle that's gonna have a starting point at this intersection here. Okay, and just make this line at any angle but longer than the width of the door right now. Okay, then I think at this point we should save our work, and if you save it for the first time, you'll be saving it as, okay, and I'm going to save this as door swing. Okay, and save. Now for the remaining of this video, I want you to pay special attention on the steps that I'm taking to create this family. Okay, so because whenever you're dealing with ankle parameter, the step in which you take to draw each line and the step in which you take to place constraint to any object matters. Okay, so we might run into problem. I'm not going to edit it out so that you can see how finicky it is when we have ankle parameter, when it's involved ankle parameter. So the next thing that we need to do, we're gonna go to create and again use the reference line. So we have this as a reference line, and this is a second reference line, and I will start this line right here at the intersection of these two reference planes. So I'm going to be near it so I can find it easily, or there we go. So I got it, and I'm going to draw it so that it's 90 degrees from this first reference line. Okay, and I'm making it about 1.5 inches long. It doesn't really matter. Okay, then I want to make sure that the end of this second reference line is locked to the center left right and center front back. So that is locked. Wait a minute, it's not. Okay, so let me make sure that the end of each reference line are locked to the intersection of the two reference planes. Okay, so let me do that now. AL, and then make sure I get the N. You know what? Let me get rid of this line first because it's kind of in the way. So AL, lock, and then AL again, and then lock. So now if I click on this line, this N of the line is locked to the intersection. Okay, I'll do the same for the next reference line. Create reference line from the intersection of the two reference plane, 90 degree, to the first reference line. Okay, I'm going to make it about that long. Okay, then place constraint again. Let me go ahead and I should be able to pick it. Okay, there we go. Lock, lock. Okay, let's see. Yep, we have two padlocks. That looks good. One more thing that I want to do for these two reference line is I want to place constraint between them. So dimension, angular, and I want the relationship between these two lines to always be 90. So I'm going to lock it at 90 degree. Next thing that we're going to be doing is we will create a parameter to control the swing of the door, the angle of the swing. Okay, so we're going to go to dimension, angular again, dimension these two, the reference plane, the center front back, and the first reference line. Okay, and we will turn this dimension into a parameter. And for this parameter, I want to be able to change it without affecting the type, or I want to be able to change it independently from the type. So I will make it an instant parameter. I will name this door swing, let me capitalize. Okay, and I will leave everything else as default and okay out of it. Now let's flex. So when I flex, the angle will move. Okay, the angle of this line will move, and this should move with it because I locked these two reference line at 90 degrees. So flex. Let me pan toward the left. Okay, I'm going to flex this to 45. Okay, I'm going to flex it to 90. If we're going to try to flex it to 90 every single time, because if you're going to have a problem, you're going to have a problem with 90 degree. Okay, looks good. Let's do this again at 75. Okay, good. Now we're going to add another reference line on the other end of the first reference line. Okay, so create reference line and start from this end. And I want it to be 90 degree or perpendicular to the first reference line. And then I am going to place dimension between the first or the second reference line and the third reference line, and I will change the distance between these two lines to match the door width. So I'm changing it to 4. Okay, then I will assign parameter to this, and the parameter I'm assigning is the width. All right, before I flex, I want to constrain these two reference line so that they always stays at 90 degree and lock it. All right, now let me just pan to the left a little bit, and then I will flex. So I'm going to flex this to 45. Apply, looks good. Change the width to 5. Okay, I'm going to do two things at the same time. 3, and change this to 90. Okay, apply, looks good. Let's change it back to 85 or 86. Looks good. Change it to 35. Looks good. Okay, and save your work. The last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to place a symbolic line that represents the swing of the door, that arc that show the swing of the door. So annotate symbolic line. Okay, I will use doors. I will use doors projection line. Okay, for that, and the tool that I'm going to use is going to be center ends arc. So the way that it works is that you're going to select the center of the circle, which should be the pivot point of the door, which is right here. Okay, then I'm going to drag until I can get to the end of the first reference line and drag this line down until it meets with the center front back. All right, now I have this padlock here on the bottom. Okay, I'm not going to lock it there. Okay, I want to warn you that, you know, you can easily over constrain your family, especially when you have angle parameter. Okay, but I do want this end of the line to follow the first reference plane. So I'm going to lock this one. Okay, this one should not move for any reason. Okay, so I'm leaving it unlocked for now. And if it becomes a problem later, I'll come back and lock it. All right. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and flex again. So I'm going to flex so that it's 15 degree. The arc line should retract. Looks good. I'm going to flex it again to 45 degree. The arc should extend. Okay. Now it's the moment of truth. I'm going to flex it to 90. Apply. Flex it back to 75. Apply. Let me zoom out just a little bit because I want to flex the door width and the angle at the same time. So changing this to 4. Changing that to 45. Apply. Okay. So we're done with this family. So we're going to save this family and then load it into our door single flush family. So let me close all inactive views. So now we have 3 files open. This is the door swing. This is the dummy project file. This is the door single flush. All right. So I'm loading this into the door single flush. All right. It is checked. Okay. Not into project 1. Okay. And I'm going to place it somewhere over here. All right. There's an insertion point. There are references all over here, but we will not be able to see it right now. But if you click on a line, you'll be able to find it. So this is center left right. This is center front back. This is the first reference line, second reference line, third reference line. So everything's there. All right. First thing that I want to do is I want to lock this family, this nested family into place first. So AL, I'm going to lock it to, basically I'm trying to find, I want the insertion point to be at this pivot point here. So I'm selecting this reference plane and then I'm aligning the center left right to it and then lock. Okay, then I'm going to select this exterior reference plane and I'm going to align it with the center front back and then lock. So it is in the right place, but the swing is not in the right location. That is because it is still taking the width from the nested family. Okay, so we're going to change that. So select the nested family. Okay, the width of the door is a type parameter, so we need to select on the edit type, and then we're going to use the associate family parameter to associate this width from the nested family to the main family. Okay, and after I click OK, the swing should shift to its correct position. Okay, that's what it does. All right. One more thing. Right now, there's no way that we can control the angle of the swing from the main family because right now it's still being controlled by the nested family. So we need, and if you check on the parameter, we don't have any parameter at all that control the swing on the main family. So I'm gonna OK out of it and create a dummy parameter. So dimension, angular, and select any two lines. Doesn't even have to be a reference plane. Any two lines that are not parallel to each other. Okay, so to create an angular dimension, then you will select that dimension. No parameter there, so we need to create a new one. And because I want to be able to control the swing of the door independently, again, from type, I'm going to make this an instance. And then call it door swing. Okay, then leave everything else as default and then OK out of it. That's all we need this dimension for. So I'm going to delete this dimension. Okay, then go back to the nested family. And since the angle is set on the nested family to be an instant parameter, we should not have to go there. We just scroll down until we see the angle, which is there, door swing. Okay, associate family parameter. We're going to use the door swing from the main family now. Okay, and when I click OK, because the default was 90, I saw that earlier, because the default was 90, this line should come back and meet with the reference plane. Okay, exactly what it's supposed to do. So let's flex. So I'm going to flex the two sizes first. Okay, it is still working. I'm going to make one of them 45. Good. Whoops. Good. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to OK out of it and save my work. Okay, now before we add any more work to this family, let's go ahead and load it into our dummy project file and test it there. Project 1, OK. All right, override existing version. Now we should see the swing. Save project. Oh, no, we're not going to save. This is dummy. Okay, then we're going to flex. So the door should get wider, and the swing line should be at 90-degree precision. So let's see. Okay, let's change it to. Actually, the swing should not change because it's instant. So I should be able to change the swing independently from the type. So I'm going to change this to 90. Change this to 70. Okay, let's flex this one back, change it from 90 to 45. Okay, it's working. So let's get back to our door family. Now I'm going to up the scale a little bit. Actually, I don't have to. From this point on, all I'm going to use is going to be the nested family, which is the door swing. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that or click on that and isolate it from everything else. So isolate element. Okay, so that's the only thing that's left. This part gets me the most. So I'm going to try to move cautiously. Okay, I will start with annotate symbolic line. So I'm going to use the symbolic line to draw the door panel in open position. Okay, so I will use line instead of pick, and then pick reference line, and then lock. I'm going to use the line. Okay, this just doesn't work. If you want to try it, you're welcome to, but I can tell you it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to use draw line, and I'm going to just pick anywhere along this first reference line, and then try to snap perpendicular to this one. Okay, so if I cannot find it, I'm just going to type SP, snap perpendicular. So it's going to try to find a line that it can draw perpendicular line to. All right, then I will lock. Oops, I can't do that. It won't let me. So I'm going to align and try to find the endpoint of the symbolic line. So I'm going to tap until I find it. that's I think that's what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna lock it and then lock it here. Okay, let me verify that I get the endpoint of the perpendicular of the symbolic line, which I did. All right, great. The next thing is I am going to draw another symbolic line. Annotate symbolic and use panel cut, okay, for the symbolic line. Okay, use sketch line. I will do the same thing. In this case, I'm just going to stop short, okay, and align it to this reference line here, lock, and then align it to this reference line here, the end point of the symbolic line, and then lock. Okay, would over constrain the sketch, so I'm gonna just cancel. Okay, so that means the endpoint. How come it let me lock? Well, let's see. Let's see what it does. Let's flex. I'm gonna flex it to 75. I want these two to move. Okay, no problem. So I'm gonna undo it. Okay, I will add another symbolic line here. So I'm gonna tiptoe around this thing, okay? Because, like I said, it's really finicky. All right, I'm just gonna stop right here, so that I can align and lock, and align perpendicular, and then lock. Okay, no problem there. I'm gonna leave this broken line there. I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, and then flex again. Okay. All right, I'm gonna OK out of it and then undo again. Okay, I am avoiding, obviously, flexing this to 90 degree. Okay, I'm gonna wait until I'm ready mentally. Okay, I'm gonna offset this 1.75 inches and make sure copy is checked, and I'm gonna offset this symbolic line. And obviously, I don't want the thickness of this. I want the relationship of these two symbolic lines to always stay at 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to lock that. Then I will use trim extend to kind of clean up. Okay. All right. Let me flex this. Flex it to 75. Looks good. I'm going to flex it to 25. Looks good. Flex it to 0. It is a warning that you can ignore. I've never seen this before. So I'm going to OK and see what happened. And worst come to worst, I can undo it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Let me flex this to 90. Flex this to 45. Let me change the door size from 2.6 to 3.0. Okay, flex this to flex it back and forth. There's no problem there, so I think we're done. So I'm just gonna OK out of it and reset the temporary hide. Okay, load this back. Let's save it first, and then load it into our dummy project. Okay, project 1. Okay, and let's see what happened there. Oop, I'm not gonna save. Again, let's flex the sizes first. Okay, 3080 looks good. Change it to 44. That's kind of too minuscule. Okay, change it to 30. 90. Okay, well, I think it's working. Just for fun, I'm gonna create another parameter, another family type for this. So I'm gonna duplicate. I'm gonna call this one a 5-0. That's a really big door. 8-0. Okay, change this to 5. And OK out of it. Okay, in 3D view, it is working. Okay, and back to reference level. Oops, level 1. Let me flex the swing to 90. 25. Looks good. We're done. So I'm going to close this dummy project. We don't need to save it. And that is dummy project as well. We're not going to save it. I think we already saved this. I think we already saved this as well, so we can just close. We're done.